What's up, everyone? It's the God, Young Montu-Ra, and welcome to Montu-Ra, the podcast, where I talk about the good, the bad, and the downright dirty of music, business, and spirituality. What's up, my gods and goddesses? And we are back again. I believe this is episode 34. Full moon in Gemini. It's the guy, Young Montu-Ra, young seer, young sorcerer, young oracle. I'm musician, artist, producer, and DJ. And on today, we're going to tap back in November 27, 2023. Full moon energy. Let's go over the time zones before we get into it. 1:16 a.m. PST time, 4:16 a.m. Eastern time in the States, 9:16 a.m. UK, and 10:16 a.m. CEST time. We love our full moons. We love our new moons. With this Gemini energy, a brief synopsis on this Gemini mutable air sign, right? So it's going to be more social. It's going to have that wittiness. It's going to be thinking more intellectually. It's going to be about brainstorming our different ideas, trying to reconnect with ourselves. Also looking at both sides of the story, maybe looking at both sides of our own energy. This is something that's very important with this full moon here, lighting up our curiosity. And I want to start kind of briefly some of the questions that we might want to ask ourselves during this energy wave. Remember, we're getting ready for the winter solstice. I've been talking about this for fucking months. And the thing is that this full moon is a culmination of everything that we're going through. But this is so important with these questions that we're going to start to ask ourselves. And one question is, where are we, or where am I, or where are you spending our energy that no longer feels good? How can we bring back some of that energy to ourselves? That's one question. The next would be, do I have a balanced approach to my time alone and to my social time? Sometimes we can be doing too much socially. Sometimes we can be too much in a hermit phase by ourselves. So trying to find that balance, looking at both sides of the fence here. Also, where have my opinions become too rigid? We have to be open-minded about this new energy, about our life, about we can't get stuck in the air with this Gemini energy. Normally I say getting stuck in the mud with that Virgo energy. Remember, Virgo, Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini, so that's still kind of playing a part for us on this full moon. And lastly, how can I prepare myself for my goals that I have, and what small action steps can I take towards our goals? So these are some questions that we might want to ask ourselves during this full moon. But because of this, and because why we're thinking so spiritually, why we are thinking more, why our thinking is more conscious base right now, if we all kind of understand that, is because the sun is in Sag right now. We're in Sagittarius season. The moon is in Gemini. So we're trying to find that balance between sorting through the little details and steps of our life, as well as establishing an overarching vision for our future. Remember, we talked about that energy. I do believe we had that full moon back in June, if I'm not mistaken, about that Sagittarius energy. I was telling everyone, even myself, it's like, yo, we got to shoot this arrow for where we want to get to, where we want to be. And then the Most High is going to give us the breadcrumbs for us to establish where we want to, where we're going, right? So I do think we're actually picking up those breadcrumbs, those details. We're going to get even more details with this full moon in Gemini. But I want to highlight the Sagittarius Gemini axis, right? Remember, we talked a lot about these different axes with this full moon and new moon energy, with these opposing energies, right? Because this is very important. We're talking fire and air, fire, Sagittarius, air, Gemini energy. And this is like that lunation that will turn our attention towards our communication of information, our perspective, because this is all ruled by Mercury, the planet of communication and information. So this is going to help us to be more curious, but also more versatile as well. Our ability to chat and charm others during this full moon in Gemini, ongoing conversations and discussions may reach a climax. And this is a kind of a sidebar, but this kind of goes with what we're talking about. We're going to have a Mercury retrograde here in about 2 weeks. And I've already felt the energy. We are starting to tap into the shadow period of this Mercury retrograde, and this is very important as we're heading into or as we're entering this full moon in Gemini energy. This is something that is going to be very impactful as we head into the winter solstice. But this time, this full moon energy, we may come into important decisions that we have to make, or that we are willing to consider making, but we have to consider all possibilities. We may be also feeling called to take action on one of our ideas, or perhaps witness something we dreamed of around us with this energy, right? Because this is something that I do believe had something to do with the new moon in Gemini on June 18th. So something is coming to fruition for us at this time since then. And I do believe this is very important as we continue to go through our process. But at the same time, it's easy for us to feel mentally distracted or pulled in different directions under these moon beams. With the moon in Gemini, the sun in Sag, we're finding a balance, like I said, sorting through these little details, sorting through the rhetoric, sorting through the bullshit that we're all kind of going through, and at the same time understanding that we have bigger goals, we have bigger dreams, and we got to take this daggone this arrow I can't even talk today, this arrow with the Sagittarius energy, and continue to point it to where we want to get to. But why is this energy so important? Is because the moon is going to be square Saturn in Pisces as well. So Saturn governs our rules and limits. It puts us in check, our limitations, that pan energy. This is something that with this squaring the moon, we may notice or feels that something wants to try to control our emotions. Something wants to try to control us. And this can manifest in someone telling us how to feel, what to do. Everybody's always got a fucking opinion about something that everybody's doing. But we're going to take this same energy and understand that Saturn is in boundary-free Pisces. Remember, we may need to set better limitations with others instead of ourselves. We're going to talk a lot more about setting boundaries because that is so important as we continue to kind of harness our own energy and to make sure that we are setting boundaries for others so they can't actually tap into our energy and try to fuck up our mojo. But also, the moon is is opposite Mars today. So Mars rules over our actions, our will, the god of war, the Montu-Ra energy. You know what time it is. But also, the moon rules our emotions. So therefore, when we do have these opposing type energies, there's often like fighting or bickering, but an opposition can sometimes apply to these relationships and manifest as opposing views. So let's not take it too far in regards to fighting others or even fighting ourselves, because it's Mars and Sagittarius person. We may feel like we're morally justified for our actions, right? The moon and Gemini person may not be taking things too seriously and just trying to have fun. So there's like and I say that with the Mars and Sag type energy and the moon and Gemini type person, it's like an unfortunate thing because there may be some anger with the Mars energy inside of us, but then again, emotions often run high after Thanksgiving. So this might be entirely, unexpected. We might have some blowouts. We might have some, conversations that might be difficult, but at the same time, this is something to actually get excited for. So let's not take it too hard, and let's take it with a grain of salt, like I like to say. Also, another aspect is the moon makes a trine with Pluto and a sextile to Neptune. Remember, we consider, I don't know if I consider, but it's considered that Pluto is a dwarf planet, but it's still trining the moon, which is going to give us that power to be our own authority. And this can also bring intense emotions, right? Because Neptune, the planet of illusion and fantasy, can often soften things and make them seem not so bad, or at the very least may kind of help us create our own safe little world, our own safe haven. Plus, we may need to take a pause as well to find ourselves in a deeper spiritual experience. So this is something very important, is because we're all having these different aspects in our own charts, in our own life, and that is why this is this full moon, I believe, is kind of delivering us a serious reality check. This is something that, like we talked about with the aspect with Saturn, you know, those limitations, those boundaries, those challenges, those setbacks. In turn, we may be called to make a decision regarding a certain type of sacrifice that we have to make. And that's a great point there, sacrificing a lot. And I think I did an episode on, sacrifice. We got to, sometimes we have to let things go to bring in the new, and it's tough and it's hard, and I've been going through that for over a year now, sacrificing different things to be able to do these podcasts, to be able to focus on my music full time, to be able to live the life that I deserve to live, that I deserve to have, that we all do, because this is something that I believe, with the Saturn aspect of this full moon, with Mars, that willpower energy. This is very important for us. Like secret action may be simmering. We might be feeling resentment might be unfolding on us on some weird shit, right? On the bright side, though, this is a powerful time for us to funnel that energy with this Mars energy into our projects, into our goals. What we don't know what the Most High is doing behind the scenes, and we may not be quite ready just yet to be revealed to us, but I do believe we are on the horizon. So we have to understand that, like, this is a very complex energy. And I want people to understand, adding to this confusion, like I said before, is Mercury is in its pre-retrograde shadow phase, and that's going to begin on December 13th. So we're on that, even in my own life, the internet went off just randomly. It's been going out. My phone, can't hear on my phone for some reason, just here and there. So that is something for us. We're trying to understand that this is something that can cause some uncertainty, but at the same time, we're trying to tap in with this energy, with our mental focus under this full moon, and it's gonna require us some additional, forethought, some consideration. It's easy for us to have our judgment clouded, and for us to hold off on making that final decision. But I'm saying, fuck that. We got to lean into the imagination. We got to lean in and explore the possibilities without forcing ourselves to land on the absolute truth right now, on today. So that is like a brief synopsis on this energy. I do feel is very important with this full moon in Gemini. But a couple themes with the elements. We're going to talk fire, earth, air, and water. So with our fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, surrendering and releasing communication styles that kind of might be holding us back. Maybe we're too aggressive. Maybe we're talking too much, or maybe we're not talking enough. So we're going to obviously find that balance within our own personal life. But that is something I feel like is kind of a major theme with the fire elements. With our earth elements, with our earth signs, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, is to be more open and curious to new possibilities and perspectives in our career, and embrace changes. So we can't get stuck in the mud and thinking that this, whatever we're doing, is going to last forever. Be open, be curious to new possibilities. And I do think that is where we're going to find our most success. Our water signs, our air signs. We're going to order our air signs. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Question your belief structures and ask yourself, are they true and correct? Release limiting beliefs is very important. And lastly, our water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Release any relationships that no longer serve you, or that don't serve your needs first, right? And that could be in your own personal life. And this is all these all go together, is because we're talking about this Gemini energy. We're talking about using this energy for us to be a bit more flexible as well. Remember, this mutable energy is helping us to be flexible. It's helping us to be able to be more curious, be more open-minded, is because that is something that we're going to need to be able to actually use this energy. This is how we use it, not how we get used by it. And that is something that's very important as well. But just a few more themes that I want to talk about is reflecting on how we communicate with ourselves and others. speaking our truth with this Gemini full moon, releasing these old fucking stories that I tell myself or that we tell ourselves about how we used to be or how things should be and all that type of shit. Releasing that. Also asking ourselves, where do you get stuck in our head? Sometimes this airy energy can have us thinking too much. We might be overthinking and underproducing. These are different themes that I believe this full moon is kind of bringing to us, but also is rewriting our story, right? We have so much that we have to be grateful for. We have so much that we should be grateful for, but at the same time, rewriting our story to where we actually desire to be. Also, what can we learn from others is another great thing. And also reminding ourselves that we are the authors of our lives and we can rewrite any fucking story that we want to kind of benefit us. Expressing our needs and wants, having honest conversations is going to be very important, and gathering with others and sharing information. I do think this has a lot to do as well with mentorship groups or associations. This is going to be very important as we continue to go through this full moon in Gemini energy. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. Thank you everybody for motivating me and helping me to just keep going and encouraging me. I appreciate it so much. Much love to everybody out there. Lastly, if you do want a reading, please send me your first and last name, date of birth, time of birth, and location of birth to official Montu-Ra at gmail.com. It's the God Young Montu-Ra, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.